third day of Kislev, corresponding to the 4th of December 2024. Today's class, graciously dedicated by Mr. Ike Hirabi and family, Le'ilui Nishmat, his beloved mother, Miriam Bat Bolisa, Alea Shalom. Additionally, today's class dedicated for the Refuah Shelema of Avraham Yaakov Haim ben Leah, Menachem ben Belina, Heleni Orna, Bat Evelyn, Bat Hen Hannah, among the Holim of all of Am Israel. Before we actually start with the textual class of today, I'd like to review some basic components when it comes to the prayer of Barech Alenu. As we know well, tonight, outside of Eretz Israel, in most places of the world, they are going to be making the change from Barechenu to Barech Alenu. Thank you. In Eretz Israel, based on the Gemara on Masechet Ta'anit, the change was made outside, in other words, after Sukkot, exactly 2 weeks after Sukkot finished, known as the Hebrew date of Zayin Heshvan, the 7th day of Heshvan. There is a difference of opinions in the Gemara Ta'anit that although the name of the title of the Talmud volume, it's called Fast Day, even though Fast Day is something that we relate to the 5 basic fast days throughout the year, plus the fast day of Kippur, but the main component of that particular Gemara is about the fasting due to the lack of rain. And that's why the beginning, at least the chapter, discusses when do we request for rain to come down. So for practical halachic purposes, and that's exactly what we do, in the morning of Shemini Aseret, we make the switch from Morida Tal to Mashiva Ruach or Morida Geshem in the prayer of Musaf. Although there is another opinion in the Talmud that says that we should start from the beginning of Sukkot, but the conclusion is, how can you pray for rain in Sukkot when we don't want rain in Sukkot? So therefore, we delay that special prayer till after Sukkot ends, once Shemini Aseret is arrived, which in Eretz Israel, they are not allowed to eat in the Sukkah. Outside of Israel, we eat in the Sukkah on Shemini Aseret without saying Leshem Basukah. But in Israel, Hoshana Rabbah comes to an end. That is the final meal in the Sukkah. So therefore, from the Musaf prayer, we do the prayer of the Mashiva Ruach Morid Ageshem. Why Eretz Israel has the head start much earlier than outside of Israel, and why do we wait 2 weeks after Shemini Aseret in order to pray for rain? I'll try to give you the short answers. Answer number 1, we know that coming to the Bet HaMikdash in Sukkot is a mitzvah ta'aseh de oraita, is a positive commandment of the Torah that says, Shalosh pe'amim b'shana, shelosha regalim. We have 3 holidays to go up to Jerusalem: Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot. And the farthest point that a Jew came to spend Sukkot in the time of the Bet HaMikdash in Yerushalayim Eir HaKodesh was approximately 2 weeks journey. That's why we needed to wait till the last Jew arrived to their home and then pray for rain. Where do we learn such a concept? You may come and ask, hold on a minute, because there is a Jew that lives in a faraway land, could be near the Euphrates River, by Nehaperat, close to Iraq. Because of that, I have to block the prayer for 2 weeks? The answer is yes. Why? The Kohen Gadol used to make a very short and powerful prayer in the day of Yom Kippur. And in one of the sentences says, God, do not listen to the prayer of the travelers when we need rain. So I'll ask you a question. From all of the things that the Kohen Gadol needs to pray in Yom Kippur, is telling God, God, do me a favor. Don't listen to the prayer of one traveler when we need rain. Since when the prayer of one person can overcome the prayers of many? That's the answer. The prayer of one person that comes from the depth of the heart can be stronger than the prayer of the Jewish people for rain. Where do we learn Socho Halacha? When it comes to shaking the lulav on Shabbat and blowing the shofar on Shabbat. What is the halacha? On Shabbat we don't blow the shofar. On Shabbat we don't shake the lulav. Why not? There is no prohibition in blowing the shofar on Shabbat. In other words, the actual action of blowing the shofar is not a sin, or shaking the lulav. Why? Because I'm taking a lulav on Shabbat, I'm doing a sin? There is no sin shaking the lulav and the etrog. So then why don't we do it? Because the fear that one Jew, again, one Jew, will carry on Shabbat. Will carry on Shabbat. That's why our Hakamim made certain gezerot. One of them is because of the remote possibility that a Jew may carry the shofar on Shabbat, because they forgot to bring it to the knis, or there is no eruv and they forgot to bring it to the knis, or the person forgot to bring the Arba'at Minim to the knis or to the Bet HaMikdash. Why? Because the Arba'at Minim, according to the Torah, the Pasuk says, Ulkahtem lachem. It needs to be yours, not somebody else's. Or that you borrow from someone. You got to do it, the borrowing, halachically, not stam borrowing. Halachically means that the owner of the set, number one, he needs to say beracha on the set of the lulav first, because it's his mitzvah, his ownership, and then he's allowed to gift it to you with the condition that you're going to return it. It's called in Jewish law, matana al menat le'ahazir, a gift with a condition that is going to be returned. How many times people may borrow something and they will return? Sometimes could be if it's a wedding gown, for example, there is such a thing as a gemach for a wedding gown, or sometimes a bride or a family member may borrow a nice hat or a nice something with a condition that's going to be returned. The same thing is allowed in the laws of the lulav. So people may be tempted. Tefillin doesn't apply. Tefillin doesn't apply. Sisit, talet applies. Lulav applies. What's the common denominator between talet and lulav? The pasuk says lachem. Lachem mishel lachem. It needs to be yours. Ve'asu lachem sisit. Tefillin no need. No need. Tefillin you lend, you bring it back. Talet, you have to. Arba'at minim, you have to. For that reason, we don't blow the shofar on Shabbat. We don't shake the lulav on Shabbat. And for that reason, we delay. We delay. You know why? Because a person, imagine yourself, you are schlepping, literally, I don't know any other word to say, but you're schlepping 2 weeks to get to Jerusalem. And I will tell you, it wasn't an airplane. Part of it was maybe by the water, perhaps, or part of it was by camel, and part of it definitely was walking, and who knows how many nights you had to spend in a hotel to travel and to arrive to your destination. You think that people there travel at night like we do, with a Waze or GPS? For sure not. So most likely, they needed to spend 2 weeks on the road. The first night could be fun, but can you imagine 2 weeks? So imagine yourself, you are heading back home after you're all excited and high from the holiness of the Bet HaMikdash. And then suddenly starts to rain. And you say, I don't understand. I made all these efforts in coming, but the people of Jerusalem don't care about me and they pray for rain. I'm not coming back. That's why the prayer, the collective prayer of rain was delayed for 2 weeks till the 7th of Heshvan. David HaMelech says in the book of Tehillim. I'm going to read the pasuk quickly so you will understand right away what the halakha brings down. The pasuk says about the city of Jerusalem. Yerushalayim harim saviv la ba'ashem saviv le'ammo. The city of Yerushalayim has mountains surrounding it. Right? Beautiful. What's the challenging statement of having mountains around the city? Short answer. That when it rains, the mountain captures the bulk of the rain. And the soil, minimum. Make sense? If you are on here and you are here, who gets rain first? Here, the mountain. What is a mountain to begin with? I'll tell you a secret. The mountain is a combination of rain and soil that grows. That's how mountains become a mountain. You have? Sure, okay. Like waves. We learned this in Sukkot. Actually in Tashlich. In the day of Tashlich, we learn a fascinating concept. I'm not sure if I said it here, but I definitely said it in the holiday in the main sanctuary. That what actually are waves? Scientifically you can tell me the heat, the water, the pressure, the condensation, the underground wind tunnel that exists underwater, so to speak, and then that creates the wave to form and to climb, but it comes down. That is good for National Geographics, okay, or Discovery Channel. What is the real deal of the waves? Says the Gaon of Vilna. The waves are the waters on the planet Earth that they want to climb up to Shamayim because they were evicted from the creation of the world. On the third day of the creation, the waters were split. Maim Elyonim, Maim Tahtonim. The heavenly waters, the lower waters. The lower waters, they feel that they were evicted from the Shamayim. Can you imagine you're in Shamayim, you feel good. You're in a VIP room. Suddenly they tell you, okay, go back to coach. Go down to the planet Earth. So these waters are not happy. So what did God do to the waters? God says to the waters, don't worry. I have a mission for you. I need you on the planet Earth. What is the need that God needs the water on the planet Earth? Number one, mikveh. Number two, netilat yadayim. Netilat yadayim. For how many cases we do netilat yadayim? Unbelievable. You can wash your hands almost every hour of the day. And not because you're OCD. No, I'm trying to clarify. For halachic reasons. Obviously, sometimes you wash one way, another time another way. Sometimes you need a cup. Sometimes you don't need a cup. Sometimes with beracha, many times without beracha. But let's recap, just to talk. How many instances the fingers or the hands must be washed? Let's start. Waking up in the morning, one. Going to the bathroom, another one. Taking a shower, another one. Going to the mikveh, another one. Taking a haircut, cutting nails, touching private parts of the body, another one. Going to a cemetery, another one. Touching an animal, non-kosher, another one. How many has I said so far? 9 or 10. Taking up, drawing blood, hazak. And there are more, but I'm not going to say. Bread, bread. You wash for bread. For example, Baruch אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה והתברך. Also tashlich. We go to the tashlich. You need water for matzot. You need water for mikveh. You need water for the mizbeach. Water libation, nisuch hamayim. So all these scenarios, God is telling the water, I need you on the planet Earth. So you're my ambassador. But yet, with all those, by the way, I forgot one, salt. Where the salt comes from? From the ocean. My maharonim, netilat yadayim for bread. You see how many scenarios bread is required? So God says to the water, you are my ambassador. I need you. But yet the water says, true, but I want to spend time with you. And that's why the God of Vilna writes that many times the waves form in the ocean, and the waves is their way of saying, I like to climb up and go back. That's why they come back. The gravity, the essence of water, the fire, let's go from the other extreme. The fire always goes up. Always. Why? Fire is connected to the neshama to a certain extent. Why? The same way that the fire climbs, so to speak, physically, and even when if I take a candle and I do this, what's going to happen with the flame? It's going to go up. Why is it going to go up? Because that's the spirit essence of going up. Water wants to go up, but what happens to the water? Curves and comes down. That's humility. You understand the difference? Now, because of the location of Israel, of the mountains, as I said before, so Eretz Israel needs water before any other parts of the world. That's the reason why in Eretz Israel they start on the 7th of Heshvan. And as I said before, technically they should have said Barech Alenu as soon as Simchat Torah is over, but to give a chance for those traveling arrive to the home dry, we don't pray for rain. And as I said before, I'm not sure if I make this point, but the Kohen Gadol prayed that Hashem should not listen to the prayer of the traveler. So what is this prayer is telling us? That the prayer of one person from the heart, from the bottom of the heart, because listen, they are traveling. It's like a hatan and kala. Get married on, they want to get married on a Sunday, let's say, outdoor chuppah. You know how many prayers are being said that day so it doesn't rain? I did chuppot underwater. Sure. Yeah. Chuppot. We started the chuppah, nice, and then suddenly started to rain. So what the caterer do, because he checked the weather channel, I said, maybe we do the chuppah inside. Maybe we do the chuppah inside. You know, no halachic obligation to do the chuppah outside. That many people do the chuppah outside as a sign of blessing, that's beautiful. Okay? But it also depends on the weather. So I asked the groom and the bride, it looks a bit cloudy. How do you want to do it, Rob? How do you want to do it? I asked them. Said, no, it's going to be good. We want beracha. I said, beautiful. What about your makeup and your hairdo? And I tried to give, says, Rabbi, we're doing it outside. So thank God, it started to rain only once we were under the chuppah in the middle of this ceremony. And thank God, the caterer had a tarp. I think it's called a tarp, a plastic, a cover on top of the chuppah, and we were able to do it very quickly. I think was one of my fastest chuppot that I ever did in my life. The other super fast chuppah was during COVID. We did it on the outdoors, and the police gave us literally, because we needed to do it on the outdoors. They planned the wedding before COVID. Was Sunday of COVID. In one of the early weeks that everybody was literally, and I'm talking about Florida, I'm not talking about New York. I believe that the protocols in New York were a bit different, but the police allowed us, but it says we give you only 10 minutes. Now, no, 10 or 15 minutes. And I finished the final beracha, no speeches, no honoring, nothing. We got the rabbi, the edim, the parents, the hatan, the kala, and you see everybody in like 6 feet, because it was under police supervision, so to speak, on the outdoors. And we finished Imeshkachech Yerushalayim, broke the glass. We sang as we were running to the cars. That was probably the fastest chuppah that I did in my life. The other one was under the rain. I remember vividly both weddings. Baruch Hashem, everybody's doing fine and well, thank God. Baruch Hashem. So we understand the rain is called Gishme Beracha. When the rain comes, starts with blessings. Sometimes the rain becomes a calamity. Esh ubarad, sheleg bekitor, ruach se'ara, osa debaro. What's the meaning of this verse? We say this every day of our life. Esh ubarad, fire and hail, sheleg bekitor, snow and like a volcano eruption, ruach se'ara, hurricanes, osa debaro. They fulfill the will of God. So when there is a hurricane coming, for example, it's not, the Weather Channel started in Singapore, started in Africa and traveled to Bahamas and made a turn to Yucatan Peninsula or the Tampa Peninsula or the Florida state. The location or the tracking of the hurricane, many times, if you ever see the trajectory of the hurricane, is like this. A shofar. You ever saw the map? Next time you see it, I want you to pay attention to the shape of the hurricane. Many times it's exactly like this. You see it. Now, so what happens now for us? We are outside of Israel. Thank you. We are outside of Israel, and tonight we are going to be saying in the Amidah, Barech Alenu. Before I go any further, two things I like to say. Number one, tonight and tomorrow, I saw it in the name of the Pene Menachem that says that tonight and tomorrow, because it's the first 24 hours of the prayer of Barech Alenu, there is a tremendous amount of blessing that comes down into the world. So Shefa, that's a word he uses, and it says, therefore, take advantage of these 24 hours to pray for whatever type of salvation you need. And who doesn't need a salvation? How wonderful we are, and how good we behave, hopefully. We all have our package. Some people in physical health, some people in shalom bayit, some people in livelihood, some people in shidduchim, some people in being able to have children, some people in all whatever matter you may have a challenge with. According to what he wrote, it says Barech Alenu. Interesting enough, if you look at the prayer of Barech Alenu, I'm going to just take it now very quickly and read it. Just I'm going to translate it very quickly, so at least we have an understanding of the magnificent blessing. Interesting enough, I saw also written somewhere that interesting, the beracha begins, Barech Alenu mevarech, begins with a blessing, finishes with a blessing. Many blessings don't finish with a blessing. For example, the beracha of wisdom finishes wisdom. Teshuvah, teshuvah, healing, healing, but blessing, double blessing, in the beginning and at the end. And obviously, I'm sure you know this, but we mentioned this on Friday when we were discussing, remember the concept of adding the wine, the water into the wine of Shabbat night Kiddush. And we mentioned, based on the writings of the Ben Ish Chai, to say the verse that we're going to start saying tonight. So I'm going to go very quickly. We say, Barech Alenu, Hashem Elokeinu et Hashana Hazot. We tell God, bless the year. Why? The Gemara writes that you need to pray for a good dream, a good leadership, and a good year. Shana Tova, Halom Tov, Melech Tov. The year Shachen Tov, Haber Tov. The year also carries its power. The power of the year. The Gemara says the concept of the day. You know, we were discussing today an interesting concept related to Purim. Even though we're not in Purim now, but I like to mention this very briefly because it reinforces what we are saying. The Gemara talks about people. The Gemara talks about dates. I'm not saying going on a date. I'm talking about a date. The calendar. A date in the calendar. So the Gemara writes, מגלגלים זכות על ידי זכאי, וחובה על ידי חובה, זיכוי ליום זכאי, חובה ליום חייב. Simple translation. Good things come through good people, headaches through people that themselves are headaches, and days has the same power. There are days that have good mazal, and there are days which are not so pleasant. Example, Shavuot. That's one of the key examples. How many tragedies and calamities happen on Tisha B'Av? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I'll tell you what the Hidah Kadosh writes. We know in Megillat Esther, Ahashverosh makes the feast, the party, that lasts how many days? 180 days. Then he makes a second party that lasts 7 days. Why did he do 180 days party? Because of this party, he went into debt. By the way, the kingdom went into debt. Can you imagine partying for 6 months? He said, and what was the celebration about? The destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. Now, sure. So somebody's quoted me a Sefer that says that the reason why Ahashverosh earmarked the party to be specifically for 180 days is because the number 180 is connected to a tragedy. What tragedy? The passing of Ishak Avinu at the age of 180. So he figures erroneously. He's a goy. He doesn't understand. Oh, 180, he died. 180 is going to rub it in God's face that we are celebrating the destruction of the temple. What he failed to remember was that Ishak was the Akedat Ishak. So even though Ishak Avinu represents Din, right? But Ishak Avinu was an Olat Temimah, was a human, but was a Malach. He was accepted as the Akedah. So when this fellow is telling me this, I ask him, do you know why Haman selected to annihilate the Jewish people in one day? That day was, I tell you right now the answer, the 13th day of Adar. Now, from all of the calendar days, why did he pick the 13th day of Adar? I'm going to give you the two answers. Don't even attempt. Answer number one is that was the end of the Shiva of Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu passed away on the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. So it says, the Jewish people got up Shiva on the 7th. That day, I'm going to make it to be forever a day of mourning, a day of Avelut. That's reason number one. Reason number two, as well, says the Hidah Kadosh, because on the 13th day of Adar began the plague of darkness. And during the plague of darkness, 80% of the Jewish people perish. So Haman says, if 80% of the Jewish people perish that day, that means that the day it's already, I'm going to make it 100%. That's why Haman selected that day. Now you understand how the days make a difference? And that's why the 7th of Cheshvan, we mentioned in the beginning what the Gemara writes of the travelers. But now comes a mega question. Mega. You ready for this? One commercial and I'll be back. No need for seatbelts. It's a passive type of question. Nothing to worry about. Before I ask the question, I don't want to put myself in trouble. Let's read quickly the Beracha, so at least we have a basic understanding. What are we going to praying for tonight? So it says, Barech Alenu Hashem Elokeinu et hashana hazot. Bless Hashem this year. Bet kol minei tebuata letoma. And all the types of crops for the best. Meaning to say, sometimes crops get infested. If they get infested, it's like it happens with the flour for the matzah. You know, when they harvest the crop and they prepare the matzah, they need to make sure that the matzah is stayed in a very cold environment, the flour in a very cold environment, because the heat can cause the fermentation of the wheat grains and create rise of temperature that may bring hames or bugs. So they have to keep it in an environment that is super cold. Beten talumatar livracha al pene ha'adama. And literally, it means that bring or give dew and rain on the face of the earth. Dew, D-E-W, tal, is the beracha that Ishak Avinu gave Yaakov. Ve'eten lecha ha'elokim mital ha'shamayim o mishmanei ha'aretz. Tal, what's the meaning of tal? Dew, D-E-W. That's why your talet is called talet. Tal yat. That's what the Ben Ish Chai writes. Why the talet is called talet? What did you put on today before your tefillin? Talet. Why is it called talet? Why don't you call it tzitzit gadol? It's called talet. The Ben Ish Chai says, I'm going to write it for you now. Tal yat. Tal is the number 39. Veiten lecha ha'elokim mital ha'shamayim. Tal, do, equals 39. How many rings you have in the tzitzit? 39. 7, 8, 11, 13. What is 39? Hashem Echad. God is one. Is 3 times the word Echad, 3 times the word Ahava, love. So far tal. So what is yat? Yat. What is that? Yeri? What are you talking about here? It says yat, says the Ben Ish Chai, numerical value word 410, which is numerical value of the word kadosh. Tal kadosh. the dew of holiness. That's what the talit stands for. You put on the talit, the Zohar Kadosh writes, you get or makif, the light of holiness that surrounds the person exactly like the sukkah, like the mikveh, like being in Eretz Israel. Nice. It used to be a time that people wore talit and tefillin all day, including during work. Now it changed for a couple of generations because of the environment, because of our distractions. In Yerushalayim today, there are areas that you see, right, Rabbi, that people go around with the tefillin all day. They cover the tefillin with a hat, but they wear the tefillin all day. They're walking on the street. Sure, they do it. Right, very special tefillin for the outdoors. The thing is that we have so many distractions, and we live in a non-Jewish environment, so to speak, outside of the holiness of our synagogues and our community, so we don't wear it out of the respect to the mitzvah. But there was a time that people went to work with talit and tefillin, but they were able to concentrate because there they work leshem shamayim. They worked to provide for their families. They made whatever they needed. They went to the kollel. That's how it was for many generations. As the years go by and society changes and the galut expands and challenges are more difficult today than back then. Back then they had challenges, but different challenges the ones that we have today. You follow me what I'm saying? So they needed to make some adjustments, but let's continue very quickly with the blessing because I want to try to wrap it up. Okay. Al merave pene tevel, satisfy, or basically it means saturate the face of the world, mesaba et ha'olam kulo mitubach, and satisfy all the world from your goodness. And now it comes, male yadenu mibirchotecha, fill our hands with your blessings, me'osher, matenot, yadecha, from the wealth of the gifts of your hands. And that is when you put the water on the Kiddush Shabbat night and you say this pasuk. Why? Because male yadenu, let me put it here. Male, I'm not going to write the full words, just the first letter. Male yadenu mibirchotecha, gives me the word maim, water. Me'osher, matenot, yadecha, mem yod, the word maim. So we have maim, which is water, which equals Miami. Maim, Maim. That's why Miami is called Miami, Miyam. Sure. You didn't know that? You want my face on the whiteboard? So do like this. That's it. To mitigate judgment. That's why we put water on the wine. Not only if you live in Miami, anywhere in the world. Because you have to understand one thing. Wine is good when you are in control, meaning physically. God forbid a person drinks and drinks, what happens? Hazako Baruch. Nichnas yain yasa sod. The wine comes in, the secrets come out. What does that mean, secrets come out? You lose control of who you are. So whatever's in your mind, the wine enters your mind, and then your mind says, hey, I feel comfortable. I have the courage. Now I'm going to spell out everything I want to say. God forbid. Haz v'shalom. And that's why drunkenness is a mega sin. And it's one of the people that Hashem really doesn't like. Why? Because you're not in control. So comes the water which is from Shamaim, is Hes. The wine is Din. In the prayer it says, Metikat Hadinim, the mitigation of judgment. So I'm calming down the wine, so to speak, by adding 3 drops of water. You may say, Rabbi, I put 3 drops of water and still the wine has an effect. It is true, because at the end of the day, our mission is to do the action. As we said in the Tashlich prayer, open for me like the eye of the needle. I need to do my symbolic act. What do I need to do to block headaches in my life? Shake the lulav. That's what it says. Shake the lulav. I'm doing it. What do I need to do to mitigate the power of the wine? Also remember, the wine of today, it's water compared to the wine of yesteryear. Many generations back, the wine wasn't so pasteurized and processed the way it is today, industrialized. You drank wine, you felt it. The mamash, you felt it. So they put water in order to lower the power of the wine, to mitigate. That's why they say also eat apple. Apples also has the power to mitigate the power of the wine, etc. Let's finish the beracha. Shombra be'atzila shanazo, watch and save this year mikol davar ra, from all types of bad, anything bad. Umikol mine mashhit, any type of destruction. Umine kol mine punanut, any type of trouble. Ba'asela tikva tova be'aharit shalom, and make it a good hope of a peaceful end. Hus berachem aleha, have pity and compassion on the year. Be'al kol tebuata, on all of the grains. Uperoteha, and the fruits. Uberacha, ubarecha, and bless the year. Begishme rason, with rain of goodwill. What's the meaning of goodwill rain? Desirable rain. Rain that does not bring destruction or flooding. For example, what is a hurricane? Wind and rain often. Then you have tsunami. You have typhoons. All these are destructive agents through water and wind, usually. That's it. Begishme rason, desirable rain. Beracha, with a blessing. Undava, utia harita haim. Besaba, beshalom. And let the year come to an end with life, means health, abundance, and peace. Kashanim atobot livracha, like the years that were crowned with blessings. Ki el tov umetiv ata, because you are good and you do good. Barech Hashanim, the one that blesses the years. Baruch ata Hashem mevarech Hashanim. Blessed be Hashem, the one that blesses the year. That is the beracha that we're going to start. Most of the Jewish world will start saying this beracha in the Amidah of today. There are many halachic scenarios in the event that a person made a mistake, didn't say it, or realized in the middle of the prayer. There are a few cases. I'm not going to go through the cases, but you have a few options how to find the solution in the event that a mistake was made. Number one, I believe that at the end of the Magen Avraham Siddur, at the end, I believe there is troubleshooting pages. What happened if you forgot, right? Thank you. Ya'ale ve'yavo. What happened if you forgot to say Hamelech HaKadosh? What happened if you said Barechenu instead of Barech Alenu or Mashi Baruach Hamoridatal? Wonderful. The Sephardic version of the Art Scroll Siddur also has it towards the end. Many Hebrew Siddurim also have the halachot. But I'm going to give you the friendly advice that I mentioned to somebody. He said, I'm confused with so many cases. I said to him, I have the solution. Don't forget. Just remember. That's it. Hold the book in your hands. Put a bit of kavana. Effective tonight. I'm switching till Pesach. Barech Alenu and Chalas. Otherwise, ask your local rabbi. Rashi Tevot LOR. Local Orthodox rabbi. That's a new one on the line on the websites now, and they will be able to guide you. But obviously, this is a most bountiful season for Am Israel. I'd like to clarify two small things I think that is important before we close the book. No questions. I'm going to tell you my question. I'm going to ask it now. But I'm going to already said it instead of asking and trying to guess the answer. When I said before the majority of the Jewish world, it is accurate what I just said. In Israel, they're already saying it since the 7th of Heshvan, almost a month earlier, number one. Outside of Israel, for example, in Argentina and Australia are different seasons. There is the summer. For Israel and America is the winter, number one. Different season altogether. Number two, in Argentina, there was a takana made over 70 years ago that due to the 4 seasons that the country has, and the fall brings a lot of rain, and sometimes there is flooding in the country. So there was a takana made. I'm not sure if it was done by Hacham David Sitehon, but definitely existed throughout the lifetime of Hacham Shehebar Alav Shalom, that Argentina, the Sephardic community, never said Barech Alenu. The first time in my life that I said Barech Alenu was when I came to America. We always said Barechenu. Now, fast forward 70 years later, or 60 years later, somebody told me recently that every 25 years or every 30 years, they check with the national rain, whatever you want to call it. Here we call it the National Hurricane Center. So they check with the government to get reports sporadically. How is the amount of rain coming? More rain, less rain. So now in the Syrian community, you have two movements. One that says, based on the statistics and the numbers, we need to change. And now the time arrived to start saying Barech Alenu because of the less rain. Other opinions from the Hachamim in the rabbinate, they say, no, we don't determine following our Hachamim to cancel a takana made X amount of years ago because of the government statistics of the water. So it all depends on the synagogue. I wish I had a rabbi from Argentina that can, with us, that can give me clarity. I will try to find out without pressure. Now they should be coming because now is the summer break. So God willing, in a few weeks before the end of the secular Gregorian year, they should be coming. And I will ask them exactly what is the protocol today, who says Barech Alenu, who continues saying Barechenu. So that was one of the things. That's why he said the majority of the world. Now, many Argentinians, when they come now, they ask me, what do I do? So according to the halacha, you pray according to the city that you are in. You understand? You're in Miami now, and Miami says Barech Alenu, fine. You went to Israel yesterday, and Israel already saying Barech Alenu, you land from the airplane, start Barech Alenu. Why? Hakol keminhag makom. You follow the city that you are in. But here comes the question. Commercial break. Why Maybe I'm going to give you the question. I'm not going to give you the answer. You can do your homework. I know you don't like it. Me neither. Why? Why? Thank you. Why, when it comes to the Barech Alenu prayer, we say December 4 to the 5th? Why don't we use a Hebrew date? Rosh Hashanah, Tishrei 1. Pesach, 15 Nisan. Rosh Chodesh, the first of the month. The prayer of rain, we say December 5th. Unless is a Gregorian leap year, that means that February has 29 days, like it happened a couple of years back. In that case, you delay it for 1 day. But why do we use the Gregorian calendar instead of the Jewish calendar for the prayer of rain? So one given answer is, and I believe that I have it right here. Let me just find it in the topic of rain right here. That's it. And it says as follows. Outside of Israel, that there is less mountains and more natural rain, and therefore the rain is not much needed like in Israel. They start 60 days after the Tekufa of Tishrei. Tekufa is a complicated topic. Tekufa in English means season. There are 4 seasons in the year. But the seasons that we're talking about, it's not like the winter, summer, fall, and spring. It's close to that. But based on the hour and the minute and the second. And there are calendars that tell you at this hour of this day, at this hour and minute of this day, is the switch of the Tekufa. You know what they tell you? Don't drink water at that minute. Because there is a change of guard in the physical world. I don't really understand that topic, but I do know what's written. And it goes further and it says, we go according to the solar calendar. Halakha and Torah is based on lunar calendar. Lunar calendar is shorter than solar calendar. In other words, the calendar of Yehudim, it's based on the moon. Why the moon? Because the Jewish people renew themselves like the moon. You go up, you go down, you are missing in action, or you're a full star. The sun is constant the same. No up, no down. For spiritual reasons, that is a challenge. You can't be like that. You gotta be always climbing. Based on that statement, the Gregorian calendar, Mehila, the solar calendar, has more days than the lunar calendar. That's why, right, 11 days. That's why every 3-4 years, what do we have? Shana Me'uberet. We have a leap year. What does the leap year do? Catches up with the discrepancy between the Gregorian and the lunar. And therefore it says, on the 5th of December, based on this halachic concept, we have, why? Also, one more thing, because it's the easiest date to the world to follow. What does that mean? We're not dealing with a halachic matter like a biblical commandment. The reason why we say this prayer is to expedite the release of rain. You understand the difference? It's not like a mitzvah, like putting on tefillin, putting on talet, mezuzah, tzedakah. It's a prayer established in order for us to manipulate from the planet Earth sending a message to Shamayim. I need rain. You may say, why do I need to pray if rain is going to come down? Rain is going to come, pray or not. The only question is if the rain is going to get stuck in traffic or the rain is going to come when we need the rain. How do I learn this? Where do I learn this from? I will finish with this. The Gemara in Ta'anit. Remember I mentioned in the beginning of the class, Gemara Ta'anit deals mostly by the amount of fast days that existed due to the lack of rain. You know how the fast day worked when it was not raining? If 2 weeks after Sukkot or a week and a half Bahav didn't rain, a handful of righteous people will fast quietly. If another week and a half went by and there was no rain, it was announced in the yeshivot and the kolelim. And if it didn't rain further, they made a public announcement to the point that no one went to work. They only allowed the groceries and the vegetable stand to open on Thursday because of Shabbat. And it will be a fast day. Those that were able to fast, and then if they still didn't rain, now they will bring the teva to the street. In the middle of the plaza, they will bring the teva to pray on the street. Why to pray on the street? So the embarrassment that Goim are seeing that is not raining because of our actions, that will awaken the heart to do teshuvah. Because one of the weapons that HaKadosh Baruch Hu utilizes, the way it's written in the book of the Nevi'im, Melachim, etc., Hashem says, is part of our Shema, daily prayer, right? That's why we say the Shema verse that talks about blocking the rain in an undertone. The verse that we in the Shema, at least according to the Sephardic Minhag, we say it in an undertone is because this pasuk says when we don't behave properly, Hashem says, no problem, I'm closing the account of rain. That's simple. Let's read the pasuk quickly and this will finish. Right, that says, Be'aseret hashamayim, God will block the heavens, below matar, and there will not be rain. What happens if there is no rain? Be'adama lo titen et yebula. The land cannot produce. It's like you need to pay your light bill and you have no income. God forbid. Has v'shalom. That's the meaning of the rain. The rain, even though the Torah uses the literal language of the rain, but the rain, which is Geshem, is not only Geshem of rain, it's Gashmiut, materialistic aspect, income. What happens if God blocks the heavens? And what happens if there is no rain? And what happens if there is no food? Guess what? Babatem mehera. We have to evacuate. We need to relocate. We may starve. From where? The land is good. Why is not producing? Because God says, I'm cutting down my source of income. What prompts God's reaction? When we don't act in the proper way. That's simple. So let us hope and pray with the arrival of tonight, the beracha of Barech Alenu. May it be a bountiful season for everyone. And the beracha is not only in the materialistic financial matters, it's also for the hostages. Tonight the hostages can be redeemed. Sure, because it's a change. And we already learned this when. That's the problem. I'm going to start telling you, hold it a shot, why I say what I just said. You like it? Thank you. Good morning. Very simple, because it's written in the prayers of Erev Pesach that whenever there is a change in the world through the prayers or the holidays, that is a mega moment for miracles to happen. So let us hope and pray that we say Barech Alenu, and the Beracha comes not only for all of Am Israel, but specifically for those who really need their own personal salvation, because everybody needs their own salvation, as I said a few moments ago. But there is a segment of Am Israel who they need a much larger salvation than ours, especially the hostages and the wounded and the soldiers and those obviously they are also in the line of fire every day. If God forbid the person is a hostage, doesn't know if he's going to wake up the next day. A person is a soldier, look how many casualties we have, over 800 casualties. More. Plus the 12 or 1300 since October 7th. Plus the hostages that regretfully are no longer among the living. Some reports came that some of them, God forbid, may not be around, but at least bury them. I don't want to go further because it's going to be very emotional, but I think that the message is loud and clear. Let us pray to have a bountiful season, and we'll have the ultimate beracha, the redemption of all of Am Israel. Amen. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. אמן ואמן. רבי חנניה בן הקשיא אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה מצוות שנאמר, נא יחפש למען צדקו, יגדיל תורה וידיר. קדיש. אמן.